Get ready to unveil Nostradamus and Baba Vanga's most frightening predictions for 2025. Human extinction, devastating conflicts, biological weapons, and even cosmic threats are among the prophecies that put the future of humanity on alert. What makes these predictions even more disturbing is how they echo the challenges of our present. In this video, we will explore the worst prophecies of these visionaries, analyze the connections with today's world, and reflect on what we can do to prevent them from coming true. The future may be darker than we imagine, and it's closer than we think. Extinction of humanity. Baba Vanga's terrible prophecy for 2025. Baba Vanga, the famous Bulgarian seer, made an alarming prediction for 2025, the extinction of humanity. This statement, far from being just a catchphrase, suggests a bleak future where intense conflicts in Europe could unleash mass devastation. The possibility that this prediction refers to the war between Russia and Ukraine, a conflict already underway, is especially disturbing. With global tensions rising, the risk of this local war escalating into a nuclear confrontation or even a global conflict cannot be ruled out. Historical wars such as the First and Second World Wars show us how regional disputes can quickly involve international powers, leading to unimaginable destruction. Beyond the battlefields, the consequences of a war of this magnitude would go far beyond physical destruction. Global economic collapses, humanitarian crises, and massive population displacements would be inevitable, further aggravating global instability. Nostradamus, in his prophecies, also mentioned Russia as a central actor in conflicts that could reshape history, creating a disturbing parallel with Vanga's predictions. The risk of nuclear proliferation adds an even darker layer to the scenario, especially when we consider the military capabilities of countries like Russia and the United States. The idea that a confrontation could result in the extinction of humanity is not only terrifying, but a reminder of the fragility of the peace we currently enjoy. Nuclear weapons, with their potential for large-scale destruction, have already proven their devastating impact in the past and remain a latent threat. Against this backdrop, the question arises: what are we doing to prevent these predictions from becoming reality? International diplomacy, arms control, and the search for global political stability are more urgent than ever. After all, the fate of humanity may depend on the choices we make now. Devastating pandemics. Nostradamus and Baba Vanga's warning for 2025. Nostradamus and Baba Vanga mentioned in their predictions plagues and diseases that could devastate humanity, raising fears of global pandemics with an even more catastrophic impact than COVID-19. Baba Vanga, in particular, predicted the spread of a new pandemic in 2025, described as highly deadly and capable of challenging even the most advanced health systems. The idea that a new virus, whether the result of natural mutations or a laboratory accident, can spread rapidly, is an alarming reminder of human fragility in the face of invisible forces. History has already shown how pandemics have shaped the course of humanity. The Black Death decimated a third of the European population in the 14th century, and the Spanish flu in 1918 killed millions in a matter of months. The advance of globalization and the ease of human movement make this scenario even more worrying. A virus with a high transmission and mortality rate could spread rapidly across entire continents, paralyzing economies, interrupting supply chains, and causing health systems to collapse. Mutations of existing diseases, such as the more aggressive variants of SARS-CoV-2, show that the risks are always there. In addition, the possibility of zoonotic diseases, transmitted from animals to humans, or the intentional use of pathogens in biological warfare add layers of complexity to the problem. Are we prepared to face a pandemic of apocalyptic proportions? COVID-19 has highlighted the flaws in health systems and global inequality in access to vaccines and treatments. A new, more lethal pandemic could exacerbate these inequalities, leaving developing countries even more vulnerable. International cooperation to strengthen epidemiological surveillance and scientific advances, such as universal vaccines and antiviral therapies, is essential to avoid a global collapse. Nostradamus and Baba Vanga remind us that humanity's real challenge may not come from the stars, but from microscopic threats that could turn our reality into a nightmare. Biological weapons and global chaos, the prophecy of 2025. Baba Vanga predicted that 2025 would be marked by the launch of a biological weapon by an unidentified nation, a prediction that raises frightening questions about the dangers of modern militarization. Biological weapons have a dark history, with examples such as the use of mustard gas in the First World War, which caused atrocious deaths and injuries, and the anthrax attacks in the United States after September 11th, which sowed fear and chaos. These events show how devastating such weapons can be, both physically and psychologically, even on smaller scales. Now, technological advances such as modern biotechnology and CRISPR offer the possibility of creating even more deadly biological weapons, capable of hitting specific targets or spreading rapidly among populations. The scenario of an intentional biological attack becomes even more alarming when we consider that it could simulate a global pandemic. An artificially created virus, designed to spread efficiently, could paralyze health systems, collapse entire economies, and plunge the world into a state of unprecedented chaos. International trade would be disrupted, with travel restrictions and blockages in supply chains, creating a cascade of economic collapses in all sectors. The uncertainty generated by such an attack could destabilize governments and trigger social crises, with populations desperately seeking basic resources and answers from their leaders. Baba Vanga's prediction serves as a warning about the fragility of global security and the urgent need for international cooperation to prevent the use of these dangerous technologies. Although treaties such as the Biological Weapons Convention exist, many experts warn that they are insufficient in the face of rapid scientific innovation. In addition, the lack of transparency and geopolitical rivalries increase the risk that such weapons could be used as tools of war or intimidation. The most urgent question that arises is, are we prepared to face such an insidious threat? History has already shown us the horrors of biological weapons, but with the tools available today, the destructive potential is exponentially greater. Only with robust global cooperation, rigorous monitoring, and the strengthening of international treaties can we try to prevent this grim prediction of 2025 from becoming a devastating reality. The collapse of society, Nostradamus' dark prediction. Nostradamus made gloomy predictions for 2025, including the possibility of a social collapse caused by a global food crisis. He warned that food prices could reach unsustainable levels, forcing people into desperate acts to survive. This prediction seems increasingly plausible in a world where climate change, such as prolonged droughts, devastating floods and extreme storms, is impacting agricultural production. Regions dependent on monocultures or with fragile agricultural systems are the most vulnerable, which could lead to severe food shortages on a global scale. In addition, economic instability resulting from rising inflation and the cost of living has already sparked protests in several countries, such as Chile in 2019 and Sri Lanka in 2022. If this trend continues, social revolts could become more frequent and intense, especially in nations where social inequality is already extreme. Nostradamus seems to have anticipated a scenario in which the elites accumulate resources, while the majority of the population struggles to meet their basic needs. This creates fertile ground for the breakdown of social ties, the rise of extremist movements, and even the fall of governments. History offers examples that reinforce the plausibility of this prediction. The collapse of the Roman Empire, for example, was exacerbated by the agricultural crisis and growing inequalities between classes. More recently, the economic crisis of 1929, known as the Great Depression, drove millions into poverty and resulted in major political and social changes, including the rise of authoritarian regimes. If food prices reach unsustainable levels again, nations could face a similar scenario, with morality giving way to despair. The impact of global warming in this context cannot be ignored. With global temperatures rising, crops could fail in entire regions, forcing mass displacements and intensifying conflicts over resources such as water and fertile land. Rising sea levels, meanwhile, threaten densely populated coastal areas, pushing millions of people into conditions of extreme vulnerability. Nostradamus' prediction is a wake-up call to humanity about the need to act before it's too late. Investing in sustainability, fighting inequality, and creating food security systems are crucial steps to avoid social collapse. After all, history teaches us that desperation caused by hunger and scarcity of resources can be one of the most dangerous triggers for the fall of civilizations. Earthquakes, eruptions, and storms. Nostradamus warned about 2025. Nostradamus mentioned in his prophecies devastating earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and natural catastrophes that could bring down major cities and transform entire landscapes. With climate change intensifying extreme events, these predictions seem more real than ever. Major earthquakes, such as the one in Fukushima in 2011, which resulted in a catastrophic tsunami, and the Daiichi nuclear crisis, show how vulnerable modern infrastructure is to these phenomena. Nostradamus predicted that by 2025, entire cities could be destroyed, and with increasing urbanization in seismic areas, such as the San Andreas Fault in the USA or the Ring of Fire region in the Pacific, the risks of mass destruction are growing. In addition, volcanic eruptions pose another growing threat. Supervolcanoes such as Yellowstone in the United States or Taal in the Philippines have the potential to release huge amounts of ash and gases into the atmosphere, triggering a volcanic winter that could reduce global temperatures, damage crops, and cause large-scale famine. Nostradamus also mentioned devastating floods, which could be exacerbated by rising sea levels and more frequent storms caused by global warming. Recent examples, such as the historic floods in Germany and China in 2021, demonstrate how these tragedies can lead to the displacement of thousands of people, economic collapses, and humanitarian crises. These disasters are not only a threat to the regions directly affected, but also trigger mass migrations, putting pressure on global resources and creating political tensions. An extreme seismic or climatic event could be the trigger for conflicts over water, fertile land, and shelter, intensifying the challenges faced by humanity. Nostradamus warns us about how unpredictable and destructive the force of nature can be. More than ever, the need to invest in resilient infrastructure, disaster monitoring, and global climate action is crucial to prevent the gloomiest predictions from coming true. Asteroids and the end of the Earth, the cosmic threat of Nostradamus. Among Nostradamus' most alarming predictions was the possibility of an asteroid hitting the Earth, causing a catastrophic event in 2025. He described an impact capable of generating large-scale natural disasters, leading to the destruction of ecosystems and threatening the very survival of humanity. Although this prediction seems extreme, similar events have happened in the past. The asteroid impact that wiped out the dinosaurs 66 million years ago is one of the best-known examples, triggering tsunamis, global fires, and an impact winter that lasted for years. More recently, the Tunguska meteor in 1908 devastated a vast area in Siberia, releasing energy equivalent to a nuclear explosion. These historical events show how real and unpredictable the threat of a cosmic impact is. Scientists are currently monitoring potentially dangerous asteroids, such as Apophis, which will pass relatively close to Earth in 2029 and 2036. Although calculations show that the probability of impact is low, these close passages are a reminder of how vulnerable our planet is to space objects. NASA and other space agencies around the world track thousands of asteroids that cross Earth's orbit, but not all dangerous celestial objects can be detected in advance. If a large asteroid were to collide with Earth, the effects would be devastating. An impact in the ocean could generate gigantic tsunamis that would destroy densely populated coastal regions. If the collision occurred on land, the release of dust and particles into the atmosphere could block out sunlight, resulting in a significant drop in global temperature, a kind of nuclear winter that would affect food production and cause social collapse. Infrastructure would be destroyed, power grids disrupted, and humanity would face an unprecedented crisis. Faced with this threat, scientists have been working on planetary defense technologies. One of the most promising initiatives is NASA's DART mission, which successfully tested the ability to deflect asteroids by colliding a spacecraft with a celestial object in 2022. While this is a significant advance, many questions remain. Are we really ready to deal with a large asteroid? Do we have the necessary resources to implement these strategies on a large scale? Nostradamus' prediction reminds us of the vulnerability of our planet and the importance of investing in research and technology to protect us from cosmic threats. Although it seems a long way off, past events and current monitoring show that the possibility of an impact is not a question of if, but of when. Humanity must remain vigilant and proactive to ensure its survival in the face of the relentless forces of the universe. And so we come to the end of this journey through Nostradamus and Baba Vanga's worst predictions for 2025. Are we really on the brink of extinction, social collapse, or an extraterrestrial threat? These prophecies serve as a grim reminder of the fragility of our world and the need to act now. Which of these predictions made you most uneasy? Do you think they are just coincidences or a reflection of real problems we are already facing? Leave your opinion in the comments, share this video with those who need to know about these prophecies, and subscribe to the channel for more analysis on the mysteries of the future. See you in the next video, where we'll continue to explore the enigmas surrounding our destiny.